Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
That's kind of scary. I mean, I'm kind of scared after that, man. I mean, I'm not sure. Da, 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 da.
I had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a...
And you're damn right I did. I was pissed that night.
I was really ticked off. When I was having
I was pissed.
I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit.
You can tell your voice is a little younger in the recording here, though.
Like you fucking ETs, by the time you showed your stuff. Oh shit, wrong show. Beep, beep, beep. Now they cut that out. Hey, Purple.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throw in his weight around.
Why did alien have to come get me?
Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without
Well, I did not.
but, seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
What is that Paranormal Radio Network this woman keeps talking about? I keep hearing this Paranormal Radio Network. Like, what the hell is this? This is United Public Radio. I don't know what these people talking about UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It's some strange phenomena that, we got hidden in the world or something. Glenda Reese Rice Morrison. Well, what the hell kind of name is that? Your Jim Morrison's great granddaughter. Really? I didn't even know he had kids. I thought he died and never had no children. Are you sure? Are you like some illegitimate bastard child?
I'm not sure if he did or not, to be honest with you, Jim Morrison there.
What do you mean you calling him James? That's how I know you're telling the truth. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah,
no,
he had
no.
daughter named Ann Robin, 1947, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a son Andrew Andy Lee, born in 1948 in Los Altos, California. So he does have 2 kids out there somewhere.
No, there you go. And Miss Morrison, what do you want with us? We're here to talk about aliens, not dead singers. I mean, we can talk about it on Friday night. You can come out.
Well, unless that singer was a dead alien.
Yeah, no, that's true. Now, if it was an alien, like the burrito guy rolled up and stuffed in somebody's freezer, we can talk about that.
Oh yeah.
But, no. Really, the topic tonight is about Egypt. Really, it's
not just Egypt. I mean, there's some strange things happening. But mostly in Africa. A couple, 3 or 4 things we want to talk about there. But Lorelei pointed out something that we'll keep as a surprise towards the end here. But something out of the south of the planet. That sounds very interesting, but I'm trying to lock that down.
I'm making a placard for Lorelei's name. I have decided as a station
it's
owner.
Laura Lee, or I tell people.
I know it's Laura Lee, and I'm making a fucking placard. See, it's twice occurs tonight. I'm making a placard
just call me Laura.
I can't hear you.
Right, Sean, I've told you that before. Just call me Laura. Everybody does because it's spelled like Lorelei, but it's Laura Lee, and everybody just calls me Laura. It's super easy. LOR.
Somebody was loaded when they wrote that name. That's all. We know what really happened, but somebody was like, "Oh yeah, let's just." Whoosh. We got a big extra loop in there, made it look like an eye. No, Kara, we're just giving Laura Lee trouble. That's all.
Yeah, just giving her a hard time.
Her first name is a it's a thing with the network. Everybody in the network somewhere along the line, somebody's got to give her trouble about it.
And it's really morbid what I'm named after. I'm not even German. But I am named after those demonic female sirens named the Lorelei's, and they use it's German mythology.
She's
and
weird.
luring the sailors to their death with singing. Mind you, if I sang off a cliff, I probably would cause sailors to crash because I sing terribly.
Oh God, we don't even want to get into that. Somebody asked me one night on what was it on News on the Flip Side? Why don't you sing a song? I said, "You got to be kidding me! I want to keep my audience." What are you talking about? Sing a song. Oh no. Some people can sing, some people can draw, some people can write. I can do none of the 3. It sounded like Sean was being probed or something.
I can't hear you guys.
I can hear something in your background. Why can't you hear? You must have something disconnected or unplugged, or
I think he's using his phone. Turn your volume up.
Text him up. Hey Kurt, what you doing, babe? It's
Hey Kurt.
Hey Kurt.
See, Kurt got it, Laura. And Sean knows that too. Sean knows to call me Laura. Right, Sean? You can't hear that.
I just call her Brat, so you don't look.
That's a good name, Brat.
I've called her many names in the 4 year, 5 years, how many freaking years I've known her.
Conspiracy Princess.
Yes, yeah, I've called her that too. She's she loves conspiracies, Jackie. Oh no, God no. So between her, my good friend Martha, and my good friend Amelia, there ain't a conspiracy goes by that I don't know about. And let me tell you what's nice about it is when I see all 3 of them ding me on the same thing, I pay way more attention to it. Just because usually if they ding me, if all 3 of them, actually it's 5 now that do this, but they're the 3 main. If all of them hit me and ding me at the same and I'm getting the same thing, I'm like, oh, I got to go pay attention to this.
You got to pay attention.
Well, I give them trouble about conspiracies, but in all fairness to them, probably 1 out of every 15 or 20 conspiracies are real. And since there's so many thousands of conspiracies out there, that means a lot more real than we like to admit to.
People send me this stuff, and then I go down a rabbit hole. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. This any of these subjects, whether you do cryptids, or you do ghosts and goblins, or you do shamanistic stuff, once you start, you're in for life. It's a black hole of a rabbit hole. Is what it is. It sucks you in.
Hey, Heidi, how you doing, sweetie? What are you talking about? My girlfriend.
One of the cool things that I heard this week came across Facebook, and it was if it was real, it would rewrite history without question. And the headline said 39,000-year-old mummy found in Egypt in solid gold tomb.
Hmm.
Now, the 39,000 years really piqued my interest, but on top of
Yeah, of
that,
course.
it's a mummy and it's in solid gold. The only other mummy we found with solid gold was a king. This
Mm-hmm.
guy is not a king. But I read further on the art. It was like one of those reels, memes kind of things, and the article said that the mummy it was the most complete mummy they found so far. Number one, number two, they said it had 6 fingers and 6 toes on both hands and feet. They didn't mention 2 rows of teeth, but they did mention it having an elongated, large skull.
I did see that too, Jay. I did. Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, it's interesting, and I looked it up, and well, they misspelled it. They put an extra 0 in it. This mummy was found in 3900, or it was dated back to 3900. If we had found it in 3900, he'd probably still be alive.
If he's still alive today, we need to all be seriously
Yeah,
worried.
if he comes to life right now, oh, that would definitely change things up. But what I did find on the internet, and I haven't found anything real detail, was that this is a Zahi Hawass find. And in his article, he doesn't mention 6 fingers or 6 toes. But they found it like 3 or 4 years ago, and that's it. It is the most complete mummy they found. They do say that, Zahi Hawass, but there's nothing after that. So Zahi Hawass he's named well. The last 2 letters of his name are what he is. I think he is a poor scientist. If he found a full skeletal elongated skull being with 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he hit it, shame on him. That's an amazing find. We've got the skulls everywhere. We don't have neck bones. We don't have spines. We don't have arms, legs, nothing.
How tall was it again, Jay? Because I just remember I saw that briefly.
In Zahi Hawass, I didn't find any on how tall the mummy was or how long it was, but they called it a priest, and I'm not an Egyptologist by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something I'm interested in. I look at frequently. I've never heard of anybody but a king being buried in a full solid gold tomb. Now, I don't know if he had a full solid gold, death mask like Tut did, but
what's his name? One of the priests was buried in a mixture of metals and jewels.
But not solid gold. It wasn't a solid.
No. This is actually better than solid gold. This was more like this was a couple of really precious. They blended together, and then they cased it with studs with like diamonds and rubies and saffron. I mean, big ones. Yeah. This was somebody very special, but this was not a king. If I remember correctly, no, it was a what's his name? The City of the Dead. What is his name? He was a priest, and a very special priest.
The same one that built the pyramid or designed the pyramids.
Oh man! Anyway, he was considered sacred amongst the pharaohs at the time.
This is the same name as the mummy in the Mummy movie.
Yeah, Jackie, what do you mean pharaohs and kings? It's a little different in Egypt. It depends what era we're talking about, and if it's what part of Egypt, has a top and a bottom, and sometimes it's one kingdom, sometimes it's 2 kingdoms. Yes, Egypt's a strange place. You made it back. Can you hear Sean? Sean,
He can't hear us.
Yeah, I had to walk up 7,000 flights of steps just to come into my office. So I'm here. I tried my phone; it just didn't.
Hi, Connie.
Sometimes phones don't want to do it. Yeah, it depends what kind of phone you. It depends on the operating system on the phone. Actually,
I was talking about you, Sean. I thought you were there. I said, to call me Lore because my name's spelled so weird. I said, I told you the first time you met me, right?
she was using some B word earlier. I was getting a little scared. But
we never leave, Mark. We're stuck to the computer here. But the mummy you were thinking of, Joe, was Imhotep, and I believe the coffin he was in was made out of alabaster and then encrusted with gold and jewels. And
he was because of the way he was embalmed. Well, not embalmed, but the way he was done. It's very. Plus, they actually put stuff in his cavities. I don't want to say in his stomach because none of that was actually there anymore. But they had placed certain types of jewels in there. Maybe they were just scared of the guy. I mean, it's hard to say what was going on there. I mean, in the movies, they're scared of the guy, but I don't really think that's the really.
But also in the movie, they bury the guy alive with a bucket full of flesh-eating scarabs.
Well, I'm saying I don't really think it's Mark, we were talking about you the other day. I wanted to ask you them 3 guests you sent me what show you think they should go on before I send them out. I have to remember the way the way my email works is I get a lot of emails. So what I do is when I finally find the email somebody sent me, or it's something I'm reading through and I've seen, I put a star on it so I know how I can find it again. Yeah, mark it as a favorite. On an average day, okay, cool. Anywhere from 500 to 5,000, just depending on what's going on. The most I ever got in one day was 650,000.
Oh dear God!
Yes, that was after a TV appearance. Yes, and even I was like, Jesus, what the beep? Matter of fact, if you go
kind enough to also reach out to me and offer guests, but I'm booking into like October and November. So I said that's almost 6 months away. So maybe in the new year we can talk again.
Well, the 3 guests he had sent me, really, when I had read them, I was like, well, they wouldn't be good for this show. Mm-hmm. I got to thinking about it. News on the flip side is easy, because what we do a lot of times on News and flip side, if we bring guests on, which is about, once every 2 months or so, we usually put them on the first hour. That way we can still get our time in. The boys and the girls have to be bad, so we need our time. Of course, now we have the chat to vent, so that's a plus.
Yes.
Dolores, this woman, Dolores writes to me. She goes, "I love the chat." She said, "Y'all are just all ass bleeps on that show." She goes,
"What are we?
Even the night I've cursed 3 times, I never curse on the show. I've had this show for 25 years. And this is it's a PG-13 show at tops, but it's so funny when people actually hear me go there. Or any of us,
Joe?
We're bleeps. We're bleeps. When we get in the chat, I'll tell you what we are. Trust me. Somebody sent me a thing. We should change the name of it to A-holes or us. And I was like, so that's probably already used.
Oh, no.
But,
no.
And then I have at least 9 people send me that stupid song.
Lori here is she's just a beautiful lady, man.
Oh, you're
so call her one of them. No.
You can call me that. I don't care.
I'm
going to tell
evil.
you guys.
What are you talking about? I know who her other half is. She is evil.
I have
a very small, tight inner circle of 3, probably maybe 4 close female friends. I prefer and always have to hang out with men ever since I was a little kid. Always.
Yeah, I know a few ladies like that. I don't know what that is.
Men are wonderful creatures. They are. If a guy tells you what, most guys anyways, when they tell you what, if you ask them, what are you thinking? They say nothing. They probably aren't, or it's not meant for my ears, but there's no drama. There's nothing 20 years back that I got to hear about from them that something happened that you've long forgotten. I love men. I just do. I love hanging out with men.
Yeah.
And you guys are great. So
thank you.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
I'm all saying that, right?
Lord, thank you for the compliment. I am sorry I'm so late to have my mom.
Actually, we started late. We were like 10 minutes later. So.
Yeah, we were chit-chatting a little bit, but just
but I didn't want. I wanted her to see it. I wanted her to see the show, and there's no way she's walking up 7,000 flights of steps to come to the office to listen to the show. You know what I mean? Will you all cheer up, Jay? You okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing. I'm a little tired. I just got back. Literally 36 minutes ago, I came here from work.
You could end up giving your
before
the phone to give it to her to watch. Maybe you're here.
She won't. She won't watch it. I got to be there physically.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting the show. I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's all right.
Well, we actually hadn't got into anything yet. We were just getting settled in. Actually, what we were doing.
100% Heidi. 100%.
Antichrist. And I mean,
Office
all kind of.
biatches can be ruthless. Yeah,
Oh.
they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they
Okay,
can.
Try
what was I
working
looking
in critical
for?
care as a nurse in a very tiny place with high stress. Believe me.
I used to be the office biatch for a rifle and gun club. We had a rifle pistol range. We had combat range for like competition games, and then we had I think it was a 20 station or 30 station sporting clays range for shotguns. And I got to wear a gun. So anyone who really got lippy never really did.
You had a Martha like Joe does.
Well, no, that's the good thing about wearing a sidearm is that, people really don't want to get lippy with you if they feel, even if they feel slighted by, paying, $1 for a target to go out and put holes in.
I have a question for you, Joe.
Unless.
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Another Joe.
Another Joe.
I was just wondering, but
he's bifurcated again. He's split into two.
Yeah, that is so weird.
Check that out, man.
Yeah, and people think it's weird that I had the alien spud thing, and he splits into two like every other couple of weeks or so.
I have a question for you, Joe. With Egypt, with all the mummies they found, that is so cool. I have never heard of them finding, like we mentioned, a gun. What did they use? Like, what did they think the aliens used as weapons, or if they found some aliens back in Egypt? Have you ever heard of that before?
Well, it's funny when you start screwing around in the past when it comes to ET, the Greys really don't show up until
6,000.
Not even that. No, I'm thinking even later than that. I mean, the first hieroglyph we see
after
is
the biblical stuff. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So somewhere between 500 years before Christ and 500 years after Christ is the first known hieroglyph. So that puts them fairly new. But now, when you talk about the humans with the big ass heads and the reptilians, they go back as long as we go back.
Yeah.
They're in our culture. I mean, you can look at the Mesoamericans, you can look at the Native Americans. As far back as they go, they're there. Same thing with I'd have to go look. I remember seeing the date on that hieroglyph, but it's been so long that I don't want to say because it could be wrong.
But King Tut he was one of the elongated skulls. So was his father and mother.
Yeah, some of the early ones were definitely had the elongated skulls, and they tried to say it was some disease, but the problem was it like skipped. And then 5 generations later, there it is again. No, it wasn't really a disease because the first two,
mean, if anything at all.
Yeah, well, the first two, either first 2 or 3 had those kind of skulls, and then so obviously it didn't affect in the way they thought or designed or became, or how long they lived.
It did become a traditional headdress forever on, called the bowling pin hat or the bowling pin crown. So for those who didn't have the skull that goes way back here, they had wore this big bowling pin hat that gave them the illusion of having the longer skull, but they actually didn't.
So let's do some jumping. Go ahead, Sean.
Do you think real quick? So SNL got it right with the cone heads, huh?
I was just thinking that, Sean. Oh my gosh.
They went in the wrong direction, but yeah, close enough.
They went the wrong direction, and it did it for comical purpose.
So
essentially, I mean, it's a larger.
When you look at a human alien face on, he looks like us. He's bigger than us. He or she has six digits. They're quite a bit taller, quite a bit wider, but proportionately, they're very well proportioned. They look just like us until they turn their head sideways. And then their head is probably, a good, maybe a foot longer, maybe even more than ours is.
Did anybody see The Fifth Element?
It's
I did.
Remember the blue opera singer?
Yeah.
When you first see her, she's like this, and she's singing. Then she goes like this, and she's got this huge skull back there.
No, it's not that huge, but it's big. It's
okay. So polydactyly, or 6 fingers, 6 toes. Okay, I can tell you from working in the NICU and maternal newborn and stuff, we would still see babies born with that. So do you think it was a kickback to that genetics?
Well, yeah, they if you go by the Bible, they tell you point blank that the angels were sleeping with the women of Earth. So
yeah,
no doubt there was some hybrids going on.
In certain terms, they say that. But there's a tribe in, I think, Peru native tribe,
Bad angels.
third world country tribe, and everybody in the
I mean, I
tribe
don't
has
blame
6
y'all,
fingers
but
and
still
6
bad.
toes, and very few of them are like most of the ones you saw, Laura Lee, were probably atrophied or uh,
No,
wouldn't
fully
weren't fully
functioning.
functional. But not all
Fully
of them.
functioning.
Most people with polydactyly, the extra ones usually are atrophied and not fully functional.
No, no,
So
I've seen babies born with them, and I
yeah.
don't. I
But
live in a
that's
small
still a
city.
very rare. It's still a very rare thing.
Yeah, it's rare.
I mean, technically, this is polydactyly. I have many fingers and toes, but I don't have more than what is normal, which is what polydactyly really is. But this tribe has the whole everybody from the oldest to
But
the youngest,
maybe their
all 6 fingers and
genetics
toes.
hasn't been mixed with what we've evolved into as humans,
Yeah,
right? If
because they're
remote.
isolated, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we didn't need that extra
They don't
digit.
have the
Which,
skull.
Do they do anything
this is
special?
the question. What is the
Do-
extra digit? Is
Do
it
they
like an
do
extra
anything special?
It's
Well,
an
it
extra
depends.
more. They have an extra pinky.
Do they do any? Do they
No, if it was
study? Do they
removed,
study the
parents would
baby
get it
or do?
removed. Yeah, they get it removed because they didn't want their child to be teased or whatever. But I have seen fully formed newborns and their hands are perfectly normal. And unless you really, babies, when they're born, their hands are like this, right?
Mhm.
But if you spread their hands open, you would have to probably count. It didn't look anywhere out of the ordinary and is fully functioning.
Yeah.
So
Contest, it wasn't angels, it was aliens, but still. It's just one
I've
of
heard
those
those
things.
stories.
Angels isn't far off from aliens. You just got to change a couple of letters and you get aliens out of angels. So.
It's well, that's the whole problem with all of this is what's crossing over where. So first off, you got crossover with demons and angels and all kind of angelic stuff, and then ghosties and stuff, and then all of a sudden we're going to drop aliens into the mix, and so that changes a lot of things. A lot of stuff that people would think would have been what we consider paranormal wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Even though alien is still paranormal, it just kind of
I'm
switches.
still
off
not
to
convinced, even though I call the angel rock because I like to work with the angels, that exactly what you just said, Joe, that it was aliens. How do we know that angels at one time were not perceived as the aliens? I believe 100% they were.
Well, see, and that's the problem. So if you go back all the way to Germany, World War II, Hitler writes a book, Mein Kampf. And so if you listen to Hitler talk about his fair-haired race that he was creating and all these genetic experiments, he said those ideas came to these angelic angels that used to come visit him. And when he describes them, he is describing an alien. He's not describing, well, I guess in reality, it could be either one. Mm-hmm. But the way he describes them more of what we would consider an extraterrestrial, because archangels are supposed to look like us. They shouldn't have a bigger head, anything like that. They may have extra digits, but they shouldn't have.
They're also supposed to be asexual too, not have any reproductive organs.
Which we know that must not be true because somewhere along the line, well, I think that's regular angels. Archangels, I think can play around, but it's
well, the type that were cast from heaven were called the
Watchers.
Watchers.
What they say,
I don't know what level in the tier of level of angels they were, but they must have been able to reproduce because they made some kind of mayhem.
Well, I'm pretty sure archangels can, but all the rest of the angels were supposed to be. They couldn't. They were just there was no sex involved.
Time for androgyny. It's bad.
Well, imagine when you go to heaven, they take the urge for sex away. Why anybody wants to go to heaven after that point is beyond me. But hey, I'm just saying, if you want to keep the peace.
How do you think I have my sex reserved in hell?
I have studied near-death experiences for over 40 years, professionally and personally, and I do not remember ever running into an experience where someone was talking about a sexual experience, ever. Yeah, I never thought of that till you just brought this up, Joe. That's an interesting fact.
Well, anytime someone does, they call it a succubi or succubus.
Not me.
That's not an angel. That's a succubus. It's not an angel. That's something else.
Mm-hmm. Mish had a good comment a little while ago when we were talking on Egypt. So Michael,
a succubus is a demon, is it not?
Yes,
it is a female demon that comes to you sexually in your dreams.
It could just be a frustrated woman. Don't just go around calling her a demon. She could just be a frustrated woman. She might have had a bad man or something. We don't know. We're
And
just,
an
we're just
incubus
assuming just because
is
he's
a
being a bee,
male.
you know.
Is a male version of the succubus.
Same thing with him. He might have had a bad relation. Matter of fact, we might be talking about the same people. They might have had a bad relationship together. Now they're out there just, doing bad things to people because they're mad.
Dan Aykroyd was visited by one in Ghostbusters.
That's my job is give alternate things,
Mitch,
people.
to
What are you
answer your
talking about?
question, some of my friends that are archaeologists down there, Michael and Evan, Evan and William Strong, and I think they have a brother named Michael too. But anyway, they discovered, and I think it might be Costa, I'm not sure of the actual location, but they discovered Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs, which means the Egyptians were in Australia before the first dynasty.
Isn't that interesting? That I saw Michelle's comment too. That's interesting because it's
They
all
were there
surrounded by
before
water.
the first dynasty really got going, which means, and I've always said it. I mean, there's no way that the Hopi have a story that sounds exactly like the story in the Greek myths of Apollo. There's no way. I mean, unless there was interaction between all those people. So there's the proof right there. The Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs in Australia. And Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs are before they had the stuff that we study. So what's written there, I don't know if they're able to translate even. That's how old it is.
Well, when we get to Mars and we go check out them pyramids up there, then we'll know that the Egyptians are truly the oldest civilization. It's to be going they might look a little different up there.
Yeah.
Might be a little slightly like bluish grayish color.
But still, it brings us back to Africa. So we got this 3,900-year-old mummy, which bears more investigation. So we definitely have to. I can't find anything more interesting on it than what we've already discussed. So, but in the same region, also dealing with Egypt, was it a few weeks ago? They discovered some weird, and they're calling them silos underneath the second largest pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafre.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that authenticated. That's been an ongoing project.
Found it after there's been a lot of hoopla about it. The guys who found it came out and said, "Look, we're in the early stages. There are 8 weird things they found that seem to be tubes, symmetrical, four of them side by side, directly under the pyramid."
I heard that too.
Actually, they said there's 8. There's supposed to be rails and walkways through them too.
Yes,
if you want my personal opinion, those things underneath the pyramids is just a like energy for the aliens to come down and reboot.
I think they're jet pillars, and in modern colloquial terminology, a jet pillar is a Tesla coil.
That feels right.
Yeah,
they have Tesla.
Now I'm going to mess y'all all up here. Okay, I'm going to mess y'all all up here because if y'all realize now, if my house was buried right now, you wouldn't realize that there's 16 pylons underneath it holding its ass up. So we don't know when that pyramid was exactly built. So we say 6,000, but if it was built the same time as Sphinx, well, no, if it was built the same time as Sphinx, it was built over water. Yeah. It would have been water where the pyramid is right now. So it would have been on pylons. Once everything filled in. But the other ones don't have them. So you got to stop and wonder if it's real, if it's not real. No one will send out giving you any legit pictures. There've been lots of drawings, but there's been no pictures. And when I wrote to
those are artist renditions though, so it could that doesn't mean
but I wrote to Marley at Cairo, and he said as far as he knew, it was a hoax. And he works for the Cairo Museum. He's one of the top people over there, so he's been there for a long time too. It's I met him when his wife passed away. It was kind of weird. His wife was an iCar director, and it was a strange thing. But he said he's going to keep looking to it all the time.
Pictures of these?
Because if it's not real, you can't take pictures of something that's not real. You can do AI, but AI is getting easier to figure out nowadays. Humans get smarter. We always think, computers are always going to be smarter than us, but you know what? A lot of times we can figure out what a computer is doing. After all, we are the creators.
So you don't think that because I almost feel like Tesla channeled information from, I think, ET.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
argue with that.
I wouldn't doubt
And
it.
he had the brain for it. And then I almost feel like the pyramids, because we've talked about this before. I think it was on the chat or Friday night, but the capstones are missing from some of the pyramids. Like, it
all of the
almost makes
pyramids.
me think that it was some type of energy generation thing. Like, the more and more things, including what I sent you, Jay, I'd sent it to you, Joe, and I can send it to you, Sean. It was something somebody sent me that was unearthed in Antarctica. It makes me really start to believe that this isn't the first go around with Earth. Like, I wonder if we've done it like 5, 6, 7 times before, and the
Huh.
pyramids are leftovers.
Well, I mean, it seems like that there's a civilization, and I can't
The pyramids
disassociate
would be replicas,
the
actually.
pyramids in Asia and the pyramids in South America, the
They're
pyramids in
everywhere.
Antarctica, and the pyramids in Egypt. I can't dissociate them as not being one civilization, but some speculate it might have been two, like Lemuria on the Pacific side and Atlantis on the
I
Atlantic.
almost think it came from alien technology. Like, they might have been a lot more involved with whatever the race was that was here before. It kind of feels like.
I'm not certain I want to say that they're alien. I want to say that whatever is left over, those destroyed buildings, the Puma Punku, the 6 or 7 tepes they have in Turkey, all those destroyed and intentionally buried buildings, just proves that there was a civilization that was 1 million years, 2 million years before this that was destroyed. And then we re-evolved or whatever. The lizard men came and made us, and then we find these perfectly good, somewhat wrecked buildings.
God, Jay, and I'm not getting angry with you, Jay, but I really wish I had your brain. Honest to God, it's amazing just listening
He
to you
amazes
and
me.
Lori and Joe talk
Between him
about
and
this
Joe,
stuff.
no.
I'm being honest with you guys.
And Sean, it isn't anything special. It's
You
just
do.
junk I absorbed in college.
Well, so we got some issues, but
Wow.
we got the problem that our bodies aren't designed for this planet.
I would agree with that.
Well, no, it's science fact. We don't even have to agree with it. It's actually a fact.
Go to any.
Okay, it makes sense. I'll say then it makes sense.
Well, so your biological clock is set to a 24.25 hour day. There's only one planet in the solar system with that time period. That's Mars. Also, the optimal body temperature for our body to perform is, I think it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And the only place you would have found that would have been Mars 50 million years ago. Not here, though. Here it's hotter.
Good one.
The average daily temperature on Mars, I think, is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is optimal for our bodies to work in.
So we're just somehow or another our DNA now it's conforming, it's changing.
There's two other methods to prove that we're not from this planet. Look at every other mammal, the whole spectrum of mammalia on this planet. All of them are covered 85 to 95% with hair. We are not.
Get to Australia, then you get things like the platypus, and you get some strange.
Those are some weird, the echidna. There's other weird creatures, yes. But then also take yourself. Any of you go to any good natural history museum and go to the caveman cages or displays and stand next to the mannequins. The cavemen were shorter than us.
Yes,
their muscles were bigger. Their skeleton was broader, and they were wider than they were tall. Their arms, this part was a little bit longer, like an ape's. Ours are symmetrical, and they had much bigger muscles, much bigger muscles. And Homo erectus had a 25% bigger brain than us, and we beat them. Why?
I was going to give Mish this. Yes, I was thinking as
we didn't beat them. We just bred them out.
We were taller, but we were weaker and smarter. But they had the bigger brain and bigger muscles. Why did we win?
Because
I'm having it on at the end of July. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sean. Then I'll share this. Go ahead.
A brain. That's what made us beat them. Was a brain. Their
brains were bigger, though. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter.
You use it all.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you use it all just because you have a big brain.
There's something unique in our brain that they didn't have.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, we're having a lady on at the end of July from over in the UK, and she maps your alien DNA, and she uses, I've watched the results live. It's quite crazy. Where's my unicorn? Oh, of course, here it is. She uses like a pendulum. It's made out of selenite. It hangs on a like a chain. She calls it the unifier. And I told her she can use me as a guinea pig. It's not all that she does, and it is fascinating. Her and Beverly Rhodes, who I had on the other night, they do it together, and they've discovered, I think, 37 different alien DNA type things that have come through. And the people I've watched that have received the results, and the people like channels I watch, so you know what they're kind of like, they have just about fallen off their chairs. And one guy in particular, his name's Big Homie CC, he was just on Piers Morgan. They actually ran into another race they've never ever run into that he apparently has ties to. So we'll see what it's like. I'll let you guys know, but I'm excited about it.
What is it, Thursday?
What's that?
What day is it? What show is that?
It's a Monday. I'll let you know when she comes on. It's the end of July, but I can send you a video to you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that sounds nuts. It sounds like
Laura Lee is special. She's on 2 days.
There was a psychic, Laura Lee. Maybe you remember I want to say that mostly through the 90s.
Okay.
And he was very good, very charismatic, and he wasn't one of those guys that, like, at the end of the show they had like a 30-minute commercial of him. Call this 900 number and I'll map your whole stuff. He wasn't a scammer like that.
Okay.
But he would talk to people in the audience, and then he would be like, "I'm getting a name like Richard or Robin." And
you're talking about John Edwards. You're talking about John Edwards.
No, I think so. Yeah, he was really, really good.
You know what? No, he wasn't, dude. I'm going to tell you right now. He was
just a good guesser.
Proved. They proven that he was a fake.
Well,
I suspected it was a possibility because he was very good at using what police call suggestive questioning. And what you do is when you ask the question in the
cold
question,
reading.
Well, he had been on the network a couple of times.
To give you the right answer without them actually knowing they're giving you.
I've seen. It's like me not knowing you guys, and so you're in my little group, and I'm thinking, and you never had a reading done before. You're brand new at this stuff. You're all excited because you're coming to see me. I'm John Edwards in this scenario. Okay. I'm going to say, hi, I am picking up a name. Let's just say Michael. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Lori automatically comes in with Michael. Right. And he points over because he's all excited, not saying nothing, but she got Michael on her, she knows a Michael. And then he'll read off her feelings, her body, dude. And I know that the people that were called upon had to fill out a big questionnaire, right?
Well, so we know the guy personally. Yeah, but we know the guy personally. So there's a couple of things went on here. The station manager, Stephanie Bonetti, used to date Chris George. Chris George is actually his cousin. They were really good friends until he got in because they're both gifted. Chris is actually a psychic himself. So they used to get into it all the time about what the messages actually meant. We've still got a couple of archives of this. There's at least 6 of them. Where live on air, people would be in the audience because we used to use the chat room back then. And Chris would say it was one thing. He would say it was another thing. And then finally, I don't know, I was about on, I think, the 4th or 5th show, Chris just said, look, you're bleeping lying. I don't know why you're just scamming people all the time. He said, you are. He said, you and I have talked about what's the easiest way to make sure, that you're feeding off the people correctly. The dude come unglued. I mean, he come unglued, threatened to sue us and all kind of stuff. And called me your friend. I said, you can't sue me. He's like, well, I said, you better go read what it says on the website. We are not responsible for anything our hosts say or do. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that. I said, it's been up there for more than a decade, so you can't say you didn't sue it. So then he starts telling me, oh, well, your dead mom's trying to talk to you. I said, is she? And he's like, yeah. I said, dude, my mom hasn't died yet. And she is now, but at that time she wasn't. And I was like,
right, exactly.
That's like that. Then, I said, he's such a, yeah. Good.
Let me throw this at you. You watched the Long Island Medium for the very first time. What do you look at, her hair or nails?
I've never seen the show.
I know.
I don't. I just watch it. I don't. You can't. You can't not notice it. You're right, Sean.
Right. Okay. So you're so in tuned with her hair and nails, right? Then she's. I I have a problem with them that go on TV.
You know who I
and just-
truly believe in is one of the best mediums I have ever met. She's on this network, Carrie Lynn
Oh.
Shawhorn.
No.
And I can tell you from personal experience, and I work as a medium and a psychic, and I
Yep,
never
I
ask
agree.
any of my friends in that field. And one day when we were working on a Thursday show, my son Justin came through. And I can tell you the things that she knew were things I did not tell her, including she said, Justin's bringing me around her house. And I went, oh God, my messy house. But the things that she picked up, there was no way she would know. And some of the things that she shared, because she asked me if it was okay. That had never happened. I'd never seen her work before. And I said, absolutely. And some of the things that she shared, I know I hadn't told her that were coming through my son. And I'm telling you, that girl is booked months in advance. She's incredible. Mm-hmm.
No, she is. She gave. I got a reading from her one time, and she hit everything right on the money. Right on the money.
She's
And we
in our
weren't even on
family
the
on
show.
our network. So there you go. Another feather in her hat. Your hat there, Joe. She's an amazing medium.
She is. I really enjoy her shows. It's we're talking about Carrie Lynn people from Friday night. Well, she's Thursday and Friday night now.
Thursday and Friday night. Yeah, she
on Thursday and Friday
prefaces,
night. Yeah.
Church of Mavis, which prefaces news on the flip side.
And then her and I do Spirit Switchboard, and we're going to do paranormal with true crime this week. The Chris Watts house.
Are you guys trying to get on as many shows as I'm on?
I was thinking this the other night because we haven't done any panels in a long time.
I know.
I think I'm going to start giving up news on a flip side once every maybe 2 months or 3 months.
That'd be so much fun because then we get to know one another.
Well,
we really
need that. Well, the panels did cause trouble too, but they were good. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening tonight, and you can write me at icarcox.net, ica@cox.net. We're thinking about really seriously bringing back. We used to do paranormal panels about once a month, and then about every 2 months. They're great panels. There was a lot of different discussions, a lot of different topics.
Yeah, they were.
You always pick the topic, and whoever could show up would show up.
And then we always end up fighting.
Well, not always, but sometimes. But and they always want to talk about ghosts, and I keep trying to explain to these people ghosts are dimensional bleeds, or they just have such a hard time with it.
Oh yeah, don't even go there, brother.
The ghosties are dimensional bleeds. So that's another good question. If somebody wrote to me about this a few minutes ago, so if somebody was asking me, do we think maybe in all this new findings that they're finding in Egypt, all the different tombs, and if any of them are haunted, I really don't ever. It's not really something I look into, to be honest with you. But, no, Jeffrey, I don't really do ghosty stuff. They do, but I don't. But I've never really heard of no ghosties in no temples. And what was that?
Howard Carter's team seemed to have been haunted after they opened up Tut's tomb.
That's true. There was a lot of weird stuff. There was a lot of weird stuff happened to that group. They seem to fell into some kind of weird curse. Carolyn, you can catch us on YouTube. Best place to watch us on TV is on Roku. Yeah, that's where the majority of people. YouTube is we use for storage. But, I mean, you can watch us on YouTube. We just use it for storage. It's when we were talking about these pyramids earlier, so
and chat. We got a lot of people on YouTube.
Yeah, so we do. It's and you can also watch us on Rumble too. So jumping over to the pyramids in front of the one sunken off the coast of Cuba. So these are we already got minimum date 16,000 years. That's minimum.
Minimum, yes.
So that's minimum date. So we already know that they're older than the pyramids in the Middle East. So then you jump down to the Mesoamerican world. So they do have pyramids down there. None that old though. 3 years, 3,000, 2,000, 1,500, 3,000.
They are continuing to find them in the jungle with LiDAR.
That's what I was getting ready to say. So one of the ones they just found that predates the Toltecs. So they think it may be 4,000, 5,000 years old. Remember, people, anything 3,000 years old predates modern religion, the way the world is today. So there was a switch over when Christianity, I shouldn't say Christianity, but when religion became a thing in the world. When Jesus became a thing in the world, there was a switch in the way we looked at each other and the way things acted in the planet. It's two different cultures. That's why it's before Christ and after Christ, because it's two different worlds. The Romans and the Greeks are much different than the way we look at the world today, even though they are the fathers of modern democracy today. It's one of those things, though. The Egyptians were also very brilliant.
Yeah.
But a lot of that thirst for knowledge, a lot of that thirst for knowledge just seem to not exist anymore. What are you talking about, Carly? Pyramids in the Asian world. You know what I have recently seen too? I've seen one in China and one in
Yeah, there's some over there.
Well, the big one they found in China is also associated with I think it's Emperor Guangji, the first one to unite the tribes of China, and then in that tomb that they found a river of mercury and an army of clay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they were talking about that on that show I was telling you last night. They were talking about how it's booby trapped and how it got all kind of other stuff in it.
No, the river of clay, the river of mercury wasn't a booby trap. It was part of a diorama, like a. They had the whole map of the capital city, and the water was represented by the mercury.
That's cool stuff.
What reminds me of Indiana Jones when you say the booby traps?
No, they actually did, because they found this thing when I was still in college, and I took 2 classes specializing in ancient Japanese and Asian art, and then when they found this thing, the clay army is like a full-size Chinese army, and every soldier has a unique face and features, and every soldier has unique armor or weapons on them.
It's very interesting when you look at it, and I they built a big old dome over it, and I know it's very limited there. Who can go in?
Isn't that interesting? You could go into the pyramids in China, it sounds like, or people wouldn't have known about this, but people can't go inside the ones in Egypt.
Well, there's really you go inside the ones in Egypt. Well, no, you can go inside the ones in Egypt.
I know you can, but I'm talking deep to get to the
well, because as far as they're concerned, there's nothing to go down to.
Of course not.
No, I mean there's no doors or openings or anything.
The Egyptian, I guess, is tourism, whatever division of the government is cutting things back because it's one of the most populated tourist sites. I mean, it's like, I forget the numbers, but millions of people a year, and they're destroying the land and the area. So they have to cut it down so that our presence of just being there to go, wow, isn't destroying the landscape.
Well, I have no doubt they'll fix it because it's a lot of money there. It's well, as far as we know, Chris, you mean in the United States? Pyramids? No, there's not really pyramids in the United States. Not
Alaska, there's supposed to be.
Okay, let me rephrase that. There's a couple of pyramids in the United States, but recently built.
Mumra is, by the way, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's pyramids in the United States, but they're recently made. Yeah, like the Luxor Hotel in Vegas.
Yeah,
it's a pyramid. It's a big ass pyramid, big black pyramid.
There's one in like Arkansas.
Big shiny light on top of it. It reminds me of one of them things out of one of them TV series with a little red light going back.
Yeah, and somewhere in like Arkansas, and I forget which one of the lower southern states heading west has a pyramid in the city.
It's Carly Lee.
Hey, Lee.
No, hey, Lee, baby.
Hi there.
That's Michael too. Hey.
Hi, Leah.
Yeah, Michael's in here, man. Where you at?
Well, no. See, they argue. So that's the big argument right now. Is now going by current. There's been changes. So we'll start from what old teachings are and what new teachings are. So, old teaching says that civilized society started 6,000 years ago, and was
6,000 or probably 5,500 BCE, which is 17,000 years ago.
So it started with the Sumerians and the Egyptians. Well, and really, what really it was the Sumerians and Mesopotamia and the Egyptians all started around the same time. So now, because we found the Zero Dynasty in Egypt, which is actually the first written language. Before it was the Sumerians, but now it's the Zero Dynasty. But they're going to argue about that for decades. Yeah, and then, of course, the Mesopotamians are right there in between them all, and that's where a lot of the stuff comes from out of Mesopotamia.
Well, the Mesopotamians, that's where you get the Akkadians and the Babylonians. So I think they're all pretty. They kind of spontaneously burst around at the same times as each other. But
yes, all very advanced. They are all three very advanced. All three had, building all kind of great cities and all kind of other great stuff. And then then we just kind of took a vacation, moved to Europe. No more grand building of any kind of thing at all until modern ages when we could build skyscrapers. So for 3,000 years we weren't building anything. Well, let me rephrase that. The Mesoamericans were building stuff, but nobody else seemed to be. Everybody else seemed to go on vacation.
What about this, Joe? Eugenio just put this up. He said Twin Peaks in San Francisco are 2 covered pyramids. I'd never heard that before.
No, they got to prove that though, so that somebody needs to get up in there with a drill or something.
Yeah, or LiDAR.
LiDAR, yeah, I was going to say with the LiDAR.
Said before.
We're talking about different pyramids around the world at the moment.
No, I meant Twin Peaks.
Oh, not the show.
I'm just kidding.
Doofus McGoofus. Well, okay. Originally, the largest pyramid was the pyramid in Giza, but now we know that's not true. The currently largest pyramid is sitting off the coast of Cuba. It's so big.
What about the pyramid in Antarctica?
Well, I don't know. They haven't proved that one really exists yet or not.
That's still up in the air. However, I have seen several photos of that mountain, and it's still up in the air. It could be a natural formation, and it could be a man-made formation. But until we can melt the ice around it, we're not going to, or send LiDAR to it.
Right, I agree.
Well, you can't really use LiDAR on ice. LiDAR doesn't work real well on ice.
Well, you know what? They have so much CGI out there right now that what they can do with a photo. You know, maybe there isn't a pyramid under Antarctica, and it's just CGI that someone put it there. Is that possible?
Well, anything's possible, but I haven't really seen a pyramid in Antarctica. All I've seen is pictures of a big ice hill and a couple of pictures of an entrance where they said Admiral Byrd flew into.
Yes, and other saucers flew out of and or into as well.
Yeah, so and he maintained till the day he died that was a true story. And people ask me all the time, how come we don't fly over Antarctica? Well, that's not really true. Military flights go over Antarctica all the time.
But there are certain places that they can't go also.
And they fly anywhere. Airlines are not allowed to fly over Antarctica. And there's several reasons for it, actually. Some of it has to do with military. More of it has to do with volcanoes than anything else. Remember when they were bitching about all the ice was melting? No, and it's global warming and mankind. And then they found out there was an active volcano underneath it.
Yeah.
Melting away. Yeah.
Well, I believe there's an entire line of active volcanoes underneath.
There are, but this one was melting all the edge ice out, and because they couldn't figure out why it was reforming so thin and so far out. By the way, the ice in Antarctica people has made a comeback. So
yes.
Don't ask, and we're not going to even go there. But things are weird. It's like the ozone thing. I remember the ozone when I was a kid. We're all going to die. We're all going to be barbecued. We're going to be barbecued.
Yeah. You couldn't use hairspray, remember?
Yes, I remember. You had to go to the pump bottle.
That was when moose became real popular.
I'm all for saving the atmosphere. I mean, we got to live here, but come on.
But it just suddenly went away. It just suddenly went away. And then it was the next one.
It because it reduced carbons and a lot of other stuff, it started to go away. And then the one in the Arctic went away. The one up north went away, came back, and then split into two, and then went away, and then came back as a little bitty, tiny hole now. So
it's a tiny hole.
Yeah, it just seems that it seems like it's doing what it wants to do, regardless what the hell we do. It's kind of like the global warming thing when you find out that the other planets are getting warm.
It's a tiny hole.
It's a tiny hole. We're going to leave it at that.
Well, leave it at that. But since we're on Antarctica, why don't I bring up what Laura Lee sent me earlier today, which I got to look further into also. And but
I couldn't find anything. I was looking. I even tried.
I did a preliminary search while we were having the promos at the beginning, but all they talk about is the pyramid.
You know what the problem is with a clip like that, and it was from Joe Rogan apparently, and these kayakers were in Antarctica, and apparently there was a big warm spell and melting, and all of a sudden these two huge stone statues appeared, and
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean,
disappeared. Apparently, I can't find out though when was he talking about this? Because
I don't know why they get all upset that there might be been life on Antarctica at one time. I mean, it was part of Pangea. I mean, at one,
That's what
everybody
made me
forget.
think. Like, did these
Yes,
come
there
from a
are.
tribe before us? Like, not
Yeah.
us, but like if we really have restarted civilization numerous times over and over, did it
And
come from
people
there?
might have, but I mean, go back 30 million years ago. It wasn't down there. It was almost by the equator then. It's I mean, people forget our continents are moving around on the planet. At one time, we were just one big continent. We were Pangea, and then we broke
That's
up.
why
And I
it made
mean,
sense, Joe.
That's
when you
like
said, what
a
if it was
billion years
closer
ago,
to the
though.
pyramids?
That's a
Because
long time ago.
it still was when life was on the planet, though.
Yeah.
It was called
So
purgatory.
at one time, all life on this planet intermingled with each other, and then boom,
It's
we split up.
It was called
And then-
purgatory
changed.
because the
Purgatory.
devil got thrown down to earth, and this is hell. And
Oh my
purgatory.
God, purgatory.
Oh,
Purgatory, Mike.
And
This is right. This is
since
the planet
then,
is
shit
definitely
happened. That's all you gotta say about
We're
it.
just gonna call him Purgatory Mike.
Didn't that have something to do with the
Doomsday
story of
Jay
the-
and Purgatory Mike. Oh, and Dexter.
and U.S. Army vet, yes, I've heard some
That's a
stories.
good name for me,
Mine has
Purgatory
one
Mike.
about
I'm going to use that
Antarctica.
from now on.
Yeah, go ahead, Purgatory
I'll be
Mike. Baby. That's what it
Purgatory
is.
Mike.
There's some really interesting stories from Antarctica on the UFO accounts there, Army Vet. We got the first one is not Admiral Byrd, is actually the Nazis. Admiral Byrd allegedly flew over and into the Arctic Circle and found weird things there, and then allegedly flew into a hole in the Antarctic Circle and found weird things there. But what I call the last battle of World War II happened in 1946 and is called Operation Parachute, I believe, or High Jump, Operation High Jump, something like that. Something to do with jumping out of an airplane, which is weird because they're the Navy. It's really strange. No,
That's where my friend
strange.
worked,
It's
the
a strange
Navy.
battle name for the Navy because you don't jump out of a boat.
Operation High Jump was actually a search for Nazi bases.
Yeah, well,
on
it was
the South Pole,
they
and they
knew
didn't
that
find any. Instead, they said these discs came out of nowhere and basically destroyed his fleet. Airplanes flying into invisible walls. Soldiers dying. A lot of the soldiers got sent to Chile and Argentina into hospitals because there was so many of them.
Correct.
And they were able to talk to reporters and count what happened. And they really didn't know. They just had these discs. They came out of nowhere and whipped their asses, basically.
Haonebu number 4, I believe, is what they're the ones that had like a big machine gun on the bottom.
Yeah, but then Byrd apparently met with the master, the guy, the head of civilization in the South Pole. He went into the ground, talked to this person, and then he went back to D.C. Right away, and then gave his dissertation of what happened. I guess the happenings and what the master said, and that they were very upset that we were messing with nukes, and that was kind of the message. But who knows? I wasn't there.
That's actually corroborated because 8 years prior, which is the lesser known story, the one that actually happens before Byrd, is the New Schwabenland project. And so Hitler sent out lots of dudes looking for artifacts of the Aryan race. And he thought that he would find the Aryans. I don't know why he thought so, but he thought he would find them on Antarctica. So he sent a huge boat. It's like a tanker freighter kind of thing with military equipment and personnel. 1938, and the boat was called New Schwabenland. The boat was called Schwabenland, and when they landed on Antarctica, that landing site became New Schwabenland, and allegedly they built a base there, and that's when they started digging into the ice, and they found what they call the Aryan race, who had, just like what Michael described, saucer disc-shaped craft, invisible barriers that you couldn't pass through or penetrate with any kind of machinery or fire, technologies that Admiral Byrd described, Hitler's troops described, and allegedly they became friends. And it was a combination of Nazi Messerschmitt 262s, the jets that they made at the end of the war. They had somehow gotten them down to Antarctica. So they were attacked with jet fighters, saucers, and what can only be described as helicopters. And we lost troops and several boats in that 1946 final battle of World War II.
It's funny because Byrd was like, it's funny they sent him because he was pretty out there. He was like the Indiana Jones of that time. I mean, this
he's
is
one of the
guy.
architects for Indiana Jones. Absolutely.
He flew around the globe with a female pilot. She doesn't get any credit, But think about it, at the time he circumnavigated the Earth in a small plane, just the two of them. It's pretty amazing stuff. But I think they sent him because he was probably the best fit to talk to the master, so-called master.
He was a very well-educated man. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting
Well,
stuff.
when Byrd got back to Washington D.C., did they believe him?
Oh no, he was made to make it hush hush after when he was in Chile after the incident. That's where they stopped to lick their wounds. It was all over the papers down there. I mean, the sailors were talking like canaries, singing like canaries. Admiral Byrd gave interviews to the newspapers, and then when he got home, I believe it was Admiral Hillenkotter, who is also head of the Magic 12 division, scolded him.
God bless you, Jay.
He spanked his hiney.
No, he tongue thrashed. He tongue thrashed that man to the point where I don't think
him
he
across
really
the
did
equator,
any,
man.
I don't think he really did any adventuring after that. I think that's the last thing you really hear from him. He kind of
He backed him up across the equator.
Yeah, he wrote his memoir and then he disappeared.
Yeah, yes. That's basically it.
He went adios amigos.
But
my question is what the hell happened to him? That was 80 years ago.
By Admiral Hillenkotter.
No, not him. Them. Oh. It's 80 years. What they've been doing. They don't really care that we're blowing shit up. They don't care that we're killing people. They seem to be down there doing whatever.
The only thing that's really freaky since Operation High Jump is there are quite a few, and particularly recently, quite a few observations of oval-shaped craft exiting the ice somewhere in Antarctica and flying all the way to the North Pole in a matter of minutes, whereas it would take us 12, 13.
Because they ran out of penguins. You know, like you get. I'm serious. You get a taste of something. You're gonna travel, man. I drive an hour each way to get a pizza. You know what I mean? Like you get a taste for something.
They're Ubering penguins up.
You get that penguin taste, especially that penguin sauce. Come on, man.
Mike, you ain't right. That's funny.
I know, man. They're gonna come for Michael. They're coming for him, man.
That's funny.
They're coming for him, baby. It's over for him. They're saying, "Oh, adios amigosio."
Well, what about the Black Knight? People don't talk about that anymore, but
because you can't prove it exists. That's the problem, and it's got all kind of evidence about it, but then there's no evidence about it.
Yeah, the few pictures of it all seem to be it looks like a piece of junk floating around. Doesn't look like a craft or anything man-made.
There are two major satellites on a polar orbit. So I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It's Elon's got thousands of satellites up there now.
If it's so talkative and people know about it, why don't they just go in and blow it up and clean it out?
Because they can't seem to get around it, is what they say. It's armed.
And the few times that any of our satellites have approached it, it has changed course and evaded any kind of capture by film or other electronic devices.
I mean, there's pictures of it on different SATCOM cameras, and there's a few of them out there, but they're grainy. It's hard to tell what it really is. I mean, it does look like something there, but it's just really, really hard to tell.
You see, this 3 city-killing asteroids could strike Earth within weeks, generating 1 million times more energy than the Hiroshima atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
What do you think made the Gulf of Mexico? A giant rock hit us right there. Bam!
Gulf of America.
I could think of a few cities that could hit, man, or I wouldn't be torn. You know what I mean? With the Trump revenge syndrome, it's just like whoever's gone against him has either been burned out, shaken out, beaten out. I don't know, man.
Well, just remember though, Mike. If a rock the size of the one that hit Chicxulub at the end of Mexico, if that happens, it's gonna turn off the sun for about 6 months.
The whole Hollywood burned down, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. But just another goddamn thing on my plate. Oh yeah, killer asteroid. Let me write that down on my post-it.
All you got to do is come to Pennsylvania for the last 40-some
Sipping my
days.
coffee, waiting for the killer asteroid to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, all you had to do is come to Pennsylvania for the last
It won't
44
come here
days.
because nothing ever comes here because this place sucks so bad. It would choose a real city, man. What happens? You know what? You get hit with a couple asteroids, even one big ass asteroid like that is going to kick up a lot of dust, mess up stuff. I mean, that could be could choke out a lot of civilizations on the Earth if there was more than one of those, maybe even just one.
Yeah, it would depend on what size it was, where it was. You know, remember if it's below the Gulf, it's not even going to affect us up here.
Depends how big it is.
Yeah, even if it's big, it's not going to affect us.
The one that affected the dinosaurs, when they say that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, the rock was about the size and volume of the state of Texas.
I don't think it's going to cause.
It's going to kill one half.
Didn't we talk about that on the show where we thought that the dinosaurs did not get killed by asteroids, but something else?
Not all of them.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about that. The scientists believe that whatever it was exploded just above the Earth in Siberia, and that's what snuffed out the dinosaurs. It snuffed out all the large creatures. That's what
impossible. The one in Siberia happened in 1908. That's the Tunguska blast.
Yeah, it's a Tunguska.
That's an airburst meteorite.
They were talking about way before that. You're talking about like a million years ago, whatever that all was.
No, I don't know about that one.
No, the one that killed the dinosaurs was 55 to 65 million.
65 million years
yeah,
ago.
we're talking about a long time ago. But that's what they believe that was over Siberia where it happened. And they still believe there's some kind of dinosaurs left in Siberia. There's a lot of land that no one's ever gone into because you really can't get into it.
I can guarantee you a great many of the marine life species survived that event, and some of the species south of the equator. But most of the dinosaurs above on our side of our half of the planet, they died out. The sun was gone for too long.
If an asteroid that big hits us, it will not cause a small hole. See, I used that. Here we go. Ding, 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 ding. I get to use a small hole one more time.
Oh, man. Very good. It's a small
hole.
That
was number 2. Whatever. People are going to be scared about everything. People are scared about volcanoes and whatever. It's nature. It's nature.
Yeah, I mean, there's just sense in trying to be, preparing yourself for any kind of rock falling out of the atmosphere and killing the planet. There isn't anything we can do to stop it, even if we knew it was coming.
That's why I don't want to.
I don't know about that now. I don't know. I think we could stop a lot of stuff now.
None of you guys have seen the movie Armageddon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I think we would send J.D. Vance. I think he seems like the kind of guy that can stop like a Bruce Willis type of guy is going to go up there, drill a hole, and blow an asteroid apart.
Yeah, and at the very last minute, he'll trick the young kid to go back, and he'll be the guy to sacrifice his life and save the
Elon Musk will
universe.
take it with his ship and bring it back to the Earth. That was gold. Right. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Call Bruce Willis. That's all I got to say.
Uncle, no, don't call Brucey. Brucey don't even know his name anymore, man.
Fast break there, Joe.
Right. Nah. Well, you can take a quickie. Why don't you put up that? Wait, hold on. Let me swing back where I can see you. Okay, and we'll take a 5-minute break, guys, or a 4-minute break, right quick. Let me grab this right here. It's in the queue already for the show.
Let me Can you gauge me? You leave me with these metal scars, you little men from the stars. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Show yourself. Oh, please show yourself. Is my life my whole life, or is it you an experiment made for your amusement? Oh, tell me, are my thoughts my own, or a sea placed by you? Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It was a quick and sweet little break there, right? Quickie. A little 4-minute break. I hope y'all all enjoyed that lovely music that was written probably before a lot of you listeners were even born yet. Damn, that's
Oh,
that's just
wow.
scary to even think about that. Yeah, I think that song is 24 years old, 25 years old. It was written just for this show, just like the intro was written just for this show. Well, people like the show. People always want they send me stuff and give me stuff and banners and things. And somebody sent me a banner the other day, but I can't use it on here because it's like X-rated or something. So it's a X-rated. It's actually this picture behind us with a few changes to it, which I can't wait to.
Naughty shenanigans in the window of the house or something like that.
Yeah,
No,
ghosts.
no, they're being pulled up through the air, through the roof, and hocked. It's just too much. It's like right in the middle of the act.
Oh God.
Oh,
It was like, come on, man. What do you want me to do with this? Oh, you can use it. There's no way I can use that, my friend. There's just nowhere I can use that at all. It's no, Michael. No, you mean the other Michael? Where is the other Michael? There it is, right there. Yeah,
It's Purgatory Mick from now on.
yeah. It's Purgatory Mikey.
Purgatory Mick.
So
Purgatory Mick. Okay.
Mick is my alter ego I use. I also use them to order pizzas and send them to people. Mick.
Purgatory Mick.
Man, I want 10% residuals on that now.
You can open up a tavern called Purgatory Mix. That's right.
That'd be good.
I'm part Irish. I can do it. I like whiskey. It's good.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little whiskey, man.
Part Welsh. Got that too, man. Little fish and chips.
It has been said that God allowed the Irish to invent poutine so that they may never rule the world, and so far that's been true.
But they've been
Yeah.
shafted the whole time. They
Yes,
should
they
release
have.
Ireland to their own recognizance. If the
True.
UK cares so much, you know what I mean?
That's true. They got a bad deal back in the 1860s. They
Yep.
got a real
Free the
bad
North
deal.
Four. Free the North Four. But that's for another show.
Screw King Charles. That's right, I said it. Screw him.
So, Mike, I got to ask you a question. Early in the show, we brought up a mummy that was found with allegedly Anunnaki-like features, long, elongated skull, 6 fingers, 6 toes. So it has to be investigated further. But if Zahiwas found this type of a creature, elongated, not just the elongated skull, but the whole skeleton, they reportedly this 3,900-year-old mummy found in a solid gold tomb is the most complete mummy they found to date. If it's an elongated skeleton with 6 fingers and 6 toes, what does that mean for humanity?
Could mean anything.
Really?
Well, could mean anything. I mean, you got to look for his. You know what? You got to search his DNA and see what its origin. If the origin was from the Earth, it's going to have those. I think I talked about it recently. The ACGT. You know what I mean? They're the 4 chemicals that were based in all living things. All
right.
living
Yeah.
things
The ACG.
are based in that. So if it doesn't come from that, then you can say, "Wow, you got something different here, something new." But I'd love to examine it.
If it's true, I mean, we found, well, not we, the royal we, as a species, elongated skulls all over the planet in every continent. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find some under the ice in Antarctica.
They found them before, man. They kind of chalked them up as some kind of mutation, but I don't think they are. I think
very few full skeletons.
The skeletons aren't just elongated; they're different. They're different in a lot of ways. The bone is thicker in some places, and the eye sockets are different. It's just
jawbones are different.
Yeah, but all those Egyptian drawings, you can kind of link up those elongated skulls to their, their pharaohs and whatever. I mean, they're most likely. I hate to say the word aliens because I think that they were here before we were here.
Well, I think that's the question I was going for. I'm thinking, extinct species of human.
I wouldn't dumb it down with humans. I would think.
Well, okay, all right. So maybe not humans. Okay, let's dumb it down. Extinct race of great ape that spawned on this planet.
So check this out.
I wouldn't say extinct. I would say hybrided out. If that
bred out, yeah.
So check this out.
Not necessarily. I think that there are variations, like hybrids of it.
On the last show, we talked about Noah, and then I had said he was over 900 years old when he died. He was 950.
Yeah.
Methuselah was 968 years old when he died, and that was kind of the mark that these guys hit. They were also described as giants.
Well, and also, wasn't Enoch was like 1,000 years old, wasn't he?
Does that sound like a human species? Does that sound like someone from somewhere else? I mean, because that's the beginning. It was his sons that formed humanity. All of humanity.
Yes, but they only did family lines by the mother. So if that's the case, and any son or any grandson, or anybody else would look like they were 900 years old because it carries from one to the next to the next to the next.
Rhesus monkeys.
I don't know if they were actually that old.
They monkeyed around with some, and I think the Noah thing happened a hell of a long time ago. I mean, like 1,000,000 years ago. I don't think it was all that recent. You know what I mean? Because there was some time in between there. There has to have been a hell of a lot of time for the billions of people on this planet, and they had a lot of work to do, man. If you start piecing things together, you can definitely see the timeline that they came here from somewhere else and they formed. They did what they did. I mean, I think probably to depths that we don't even imagine. We can't imagine.
Do you see what Eugene wrote? Eugene. He says, "Hope I don't get in trouble. My son was born skull elongated, scared the crap out of me. Nurse told me it's natural and will round out, and it did. Thank God." Who's not to say that those elongated things that we thought that didn't get the opportunity to round off. Could they have round off?
Well, I mean that's a possibility, Sean. But there's also head binding that certain African cultures do, where they bind boards or really tight fibers around the child's
Or
skull
South
before it's
American
solid,
custom.
and they stretch it out like to
But I
emulate the
think
elongated
that's
skull. But
The
the
most
problem with
famous are
this
the
is
Naskins.
the problem
to
with this is
emulate it.
it doesn't change the size of the brain. The elongated skulls, the skull itself is much larger than the human skull. The jawbone is like 5 times bigger. What's his name? The guy with the travel, little chubby guy. I can't remember his name. David something or other. He goes to a Peruvian museum where they have an elongated skull jawbone, and he puts a regular adult male jawbone in front of it, and it's dwarfed. It's
I
dwarfed
wouldn't
by
say no,
bone.
preemies don't have enlarged skulls. I can tell you from working in the NICU, depending how they were born, like regular babies, they may have a cone head, but they don't have elongated skulls. Maybe some babies, because I know that Heidi's had experience with one of her daughters, but normally babies don't. But again, we got to remember, just because their head was bigger doesn't mean they used most of their brain. We don't use most of our brain as humans.
Yeah, they could have been extremely unintelligent, but
Can you imagine if we used our whole brain?
I've said that many times, Sean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow.
okay. First off, we do use all of our brain, people. Okay, just so y'all know, if we didn't, we would die. Just so you know.
We're
I
not
want- I
saying we
want to-
don't use it. I don't think we use all of it.
So it's kind of a misnomer on what they're talking about. So we're talking about cognitive abilities, but the brain itself is always being used. All the parts of it, everything's being moved, and everything's little signals are being sent to it all the time. It's if there was a blockage anyway in your brain, you'd be dead. It's just one of those things. So it's kind of a misnomer about when you hear people say, "Well, you only use 10% of your brain." No, that's not true. It takes more than 10% of our brain just to run our daily function.
I can tell you there's
To
a
breathe.
case that came up with a gentleman that had something going on, and they ended up doing a brain scan. He had very little brain material.
Yeah,
Average
well,
intelligence, everything fine with him. So I don't think we need that much. I know what you're saying, though, Joe. We do use all parts.
well, so it's it's all about educating yourself on how to use your brain actually correctly. Most people don't even use its potential at all. But the thing of it is, it's always running. It's always being used, and a lot of times humans ignore what the brain is actually telling them. Your brain's, it's so in a subconscious way, your brain's always telling you something. It's just a lot of times you're just ignoring what it's saying because you think you know better, even though it's, running everything and making sure everything goes the way it's supposed to. You're
the
going to
perfect
ignore
example of that is Bill Cosby talking about you getting drunk, and then you get that last drink, and the brain control goes, "Don't drink that," and you go, so the brain turns on the throat. All right, back it up just to the throat, and you go. He describes it so perfectly that when you know you shouldn't take that last drink, but you do anyway, and then you pay for it the rest of the evening, throwing up for an hour.
It's a strange thing, but I mean, it really is true. If you concentrate, you can use your brain for a lot of things, and or if you build, and it's easier when you're younger because you have way less stuff to stop you from doing it.
Yeah, but stroke victims who've had part of their brain die basically from a blood clot or a brain bleed, you can train the brain to create new neural pathways. So you are right about that, Joe.
You can zip around the damage, yeah.
There's just a lot going on in our brain that we just don't even realize, and so little of us understand it or even want to understand it. Most humans are just glad the damn thing's working and we're all breathing and doing our daily bodily routines. We're just all happy about that. But as far as our intelligence goes, we're nowhere near where we can be. I mean, but then again, that's not true either, is it? We just invented AI. We just invented artificial life at the point we are in our evolution now.
Or is it alien technology that was
Well,
given?
no, I don't think it was. It may have been originally whatever first started as 50 years ago, but whoever invented it recently, it was off their own ambition, just like Bitcoin.
Did they channel it? Did they
No, I
channel
don't
it?
think they did. I think it's just a natural thing. And the reason why is that I learned something a long, long time ago. When things happen on Earth, it happens in waves. It never happens in one place. So any crucial invention or any crucial movement on this planet always happens in different places at the same time. You'll just see like medical breakthroughs or financial whatever it is. Somebody else is inventing.
The radio came out like in Italy on like day one. I don't remember what the exact date was, but that it was invented by Marconi. And then like 2 or 3 days later in America, Tesla's radio came out.
Yeah, well, look at nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
We blow up one, and within 10 years, what? How many people got nukes? 8, 9, 10?
I think it's 17 countries now. Have
Everything is sex. Everything. And it's because of sex. It's because of wanting, needing, or whatever you call it. Doesn't matter what industry, doesn't matter what, man. Everything is, all humanity, the mother of invention, all about sex. People's cravings and all that, sex.
I think more about war than about sex.
War is about sex.
No, war is not.
Try to impress your girl.
War is about control.
Go take this country, man.
War is about control. It's not really about sex. It's about control.
It's about women. It's about women. You got to buy your girl.
Yeah, maybe. What's her name might have been about a woman. But
look what I got for you, honey. I raided a castle. Come on, man.
No. That's not what that's about. That's control and power is a whole different thing.
That's sex. Sex is control.
It's a whole different beast, is what it is.
Control and power.
It's
You got to have the angle of the dangle, man.
Actually, if you really want world peace, all you got to do is get rid of money and religion.
Yeah.
That's all you got to really do. If you want, have a good blank.
Oh man, when religion thought that they could make money from nothing, they were so happy. They were happy. There was some dancing people right then and there, man.
And but it's what it comes down to. I mean, religion has all kind of control these days, doesn't it?
Because of sex. Because of sex. Because they threaten you with your desires or whatever. Oh, you did this.
They do
bad. Who are you to judge me?
They don't threaten you with any of that kind of stuff.
Judge people. The very own
He's
book.
not wrong. Lust is one of the 7 deadly
they
sins.
shake that book at you. It don't. Yeah.
Only if you're not married.
Hey, Michael, if you're not careful, if you go to a school that's run by priests and nuns, they don't only shake that book at you; they hit you with it too.
My mom
They hit you with it. They
She
do.
said that the nuns were mean to her. My sister went to Catholic school for a short
Dude,
time.
I got
They were
smacked
mean-
by both nuns
mean to
and
her.
priests. None of them were related to me in any way whatsoever.
Well, the priest wasn't allowed to smack us, but the nuns were.
I wasn't
The
allowed
nuns
to go
were.
to Catholic school because
That's not true,
always
Joe. I saw
something like
a
that.
kid and a
I'm talking
priest.
about where I went to school. No, I'm talking about where I went to school. They were not allowed to. Priests were not allowed to touch you.
I'm in Canada. Yeah, they were allowed to. Yeah, I went to
The nuns could whoop you like you were their
We
own
got hit by
personal
the nuns,
property.
but I saw a priest swing at a kid. And
But
then the
here,
kid swung back
but
and
here's
he
the
put his
crazy
hand through a
part
plate
about
glass
it all.
window.
Here's the crazy bit about you had to go home and tell your mom and dad, and you got your ass whipped when you got home.
Again. Yeah.
And what was that priest swinging? I'm sorry, but we've heard lots of bad things about priests.
Oh, well, I forget what I was in the hallway. I don't know what they're talking about. All I saw was
Oh,
the priest. The priest was in his
Lord.
gown. He's getting ready to do
Lord.
a service. And he
I
punched the
gotta
kid in
brush
the
my
face.
eyes out
The
with
kid punched back,
Clorox,
but the priest
please.
moved and he broke his fist on the
Oh God.
It's true.
Lord,
though. It's true, unfortunately.
Oh God. I don't know, but no. Yeah, I got hit by nuns, not by priests where I was at. But it was, I mean,
You guys
I mean,
didn't
I
go to
remember
St. Rachel's,
I had
obviously.
no, you know what? No, I had no knuckles left after 6th grade. They just smacked the shit out of my knuckles.
I had a
With
fourth
the
grade
ruler.
teacher, Mrs. Exley, smacked me across the face, man, in front of everybody. She used to pull all the boys' hair, shit like that. She was just a nasty old piece of shit. You know what I did? I crazy glued 100 pennies to her Mercedes, man. I knew where she
Good
lived.
for you.
I went-
Oh
went
my
there-
God. Yes. Yes.
100 shiny pennies on her Mercedes.
Good for you. And I mean that.
She went nuts, man. Like the whole school was talking about, like they don't know who did it.
Real quick while we're off subject, some idiot threw baloney on my mom's car when I was at school one day.
That was me too, man.
They left.
I was pissed off.
Scratched the paint. So I knew who did it.
It was pork bologna too. Otherwise, they would have eaten.
Yeah, well, listen to this.
I was
Listen to this,
pissed
Mike.
off, man.
Mike, listen to this. I knew who did it. So this is back in the day when we had regular gasoline.
You
So
want
I
to hear
took
how messed up I am?
listen,
I'll tell you how
I took
messed
one of
up.
my dad's old
You
golf
want to
balls
hear
and
how
dropped
messed
it down
up
the
I am?
tank.
I'll tell you. When I was 17, that I started selling sunglasses out of my car for this dude. Like, you go to gas stations and stuff and whatever. He promised me all kinds of money on it, and then I had a little. I had a little retail space at a flea market on weekends. So I would just get stuff and sell it, whatever lighters that look like grenades and stuff like that. I was into that, and then this guy screwed me over, man. Didn't just screw me over, but like he did it in a way that pissed me off to the point where I had no shut off valve. So like my friends and I used to go into the city. You can get these pineapples, and in Chinatown they had fireworks, right? Like all the stuff you can't get. We get like I had like a stick of dynamite every year. On the same day the guy screwed me over, I went back and duct taped one to the back of his window and blew it up. My friends and I were like so into it. They would remind me every year, "Hey man, it's about that time. We got to go blow that guy's car." I don't know. Something you do when you're young. The statute of limitations have gone past.
Yeah, no, I'd still be careful about that and terrorism and whatnot.
I don't know. Not in New York. It probably hasn't, man. They already got looking at his address and looking him up right now.
I'll be
in El Mexico.
Do as you're told, not as you hear, man. I'm just
So
telling you.
real quick, we got about 10 minutes left. The last thing that I found that this isn't new, but it is still as remains uninvestigated. Which I think if I'd have found out a new secret room in a building like the pyramid, I'd go and investigate as soon as I could. So in the Queen's Chamber in the Big Pyramid, the Khufu's pyramid, they've detected a room on I think it's the east side of the room. The stairs go up towards the north, so I think it's on that side. Anyway, they think it's a large room, and then they think there may be another room behind that, or it may be just a very large room. But I would think if I was Zahi Hawass, even though I'm not a good scientist, I would want to find out what's in those rooms like immediately. Why haven't they opened those?
Well, are they real?
Who knows?
No,
Who knows?
several different sonar. They take a machine and they rub it up and down the wall the way they do on the floor.
Maybe they're afraid to open up the walls to see
You got to
what's in
understand,
there.
man. They got to get permission from the Egyptian government for them to do anything.
Egyptians told you about what they'll let you do.
They won't even allow them to replace the capstone on top of the pyramid.
No, they wouldn't.
They're afraid of what could happen. Is that crazy?
No, because the capstone was solid gold, and Egypt can't afford to put a capstone up there. Actually, that's not true. They've actually got writings and descriptions of what the capstones were. Just so y'all know that.
They would like
you can go look at it yourself.
They would like to do an experiment and replace it.
See ya, Heidi. Be safe.
Bye, Heidi.
They
What's up, Heidi?
But still, though, the gold thing. One of the reasons they didn't want to put them there is that they were afraid people would try to go up there and try to get the gold. Think about how many people would die trying to climb up that thing at night.
They don't want to replace it, leave it, replace it to see scientifically what could happen because they think that a beam would come out of the center or something like that.
You have to fill them with the right chemicals first.
No,
you have to fill them with the right chemicals first.
Pig shit they use for methane, and they found those two really big copper hooks, or not even hooks, they're like shanks, circles, and then it runs through the whole place. It's a motor, man. You can look at it and you say this is an engine. It's something that
no, I haven't, but I'll look into it.
It's not a grave. It's not a tomb. Nothing like that. It's a freaking motor. You know what I mean? It's a big motor.
Yeah. I think I first thought that the pyramids, the whole complex was a solid fuel manufacture center for rockets to leave the Earth.
They needed power for all their vibrators, man.
But it seems to me like maybe one of the pyramids provides electricity to the other two.
I had an antique store. We had a vibrator. I had a vibrator from the early 1800s in my antique store. You know what? I wouldn't even sell it because it was such a conversation piece. And it had a thing, they cranked it up by hand. You know what I mean? Like, click, click, click. You wind that stuff up, and then it goes.
Joe, did they have any historical things in Egypt that they found where some crafts have landed that they've documented? Do you know?
No, they talk about craft landing over there all the
India's
time.
got the stories of power, nuclear.
India
And
does got a lot of stories about what was
it's
flying around in the
pretty
skies back
amazing,
then.
actually. You know,
They
Egypt
really
was
do.
kind of subdued. India's got the real
Oh
blood
yeah.
and guts war.
Egypt. It depends where what. See, it depends what part of Egypt you're in. It's weird. The lower half, what was it? Memphis in Egypt, and Memphis has a lot of sightings, but other parts of it doesn't. Some places around the pyramids do, but think of this: the Great Pyramids are seeing millions of people a year. Nobody's seeing any UFOs around them.
That's true.
They say the oldest civilization is up in Turkey, man. You know,
Yeah.
and the structures and all that. So go back over 9,000 years, predates,
But
pyramids.
that's not true either, because the pyramids off the coast of Cuba are older than that. The ones off the coast of India are older than that. So
Undetermined.
they're not even right with Turkey. Yeah, they're not right. Turkey's not the
I
oldest.
just thought I'd ask since we started the conversation with
Yeah.
Egypt, and I've never heard that before. So I thought, well, maybe I've missed something with Egypt, but
Egypt, there's a lot of stuff in Egypt that suggests that something or somebody was interfering. Somebody had foregone knowledge of other things, or stuff that we use today, somebody was using back then. But so did the Mesoamericans, for that matter. They had, the Mesoamericans had, airplanes or models of airplanes,
wow.
Well,
models of spaceships, models of helmets. It was weird. The Mesoamericans, I mean, they're the ones that were their kids, and the Nazcans were the ones that were shaping their heads like aliens.
It's not too hard to look at a bird and think if they could do it, we could do it.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's unmistakable. That looks like a plane from today.
That's an actual Egyptian artifact. It is a wooden plane. Now, the writing on the wings and the lines for the cockpit windows are AI enhancements, so it's not how the actual artifact looks. My friend Arlen Andrews, when I posted it, because I haven't had a chance to look at this either, but this is much different than the one that they show on Ancient Aliens, which has kind of a bird, effect to the fuselage area. This definitely looks like man-made, manufactured metal type of plane, but it's a wooden toy found at some Egyptian.
Like it could look like a bird except for the back, right? Like that's where
birds don't have.
Yeah.
Now they see where it's broken off. There's a vertical section of the tail. No birds have vertical. All birds' tail feathers are flat. None of them go vertical.
Mm-hmm. That's intriguing. And you are right about that. That was a good point. All the people there, we've never heard a report of people seeing a UFO or UAP, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, there's not much in the way around the pyramids that are being seen. At least not that's getting reported to us. It's
so look at this though.
The UFO to the Egyptian pyramids though is over the Temple Mount in Israel.
I love it.
So here you have, I mean, these are all Egyptian. I mean, but look at this. I mean, it's pretty clear what they're describing. I mean, right there is an airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did we have civilizations before what we have now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was something out there before us.
I should rephrase that. I mean, like I really almost feel like this is like between the fifth and seventh time around humanity's giving it a go back to whatever.
Well, that's probably not true, but we'll know even better when we go to Mars. We'll find a kindred ancestry there. So now that we know certain things about our own self, we'll find an answer. So that's going to hurt the religious people a lot too. By the way,
yeah.
I was talking with a friend of mine about this the other day.
Use that technology. That was technology, obviously, or evidence of it.
Well, maybe not. So there's a couple of ways this could have went down. Mars could have known it was going to die 55 million years ago and just sent the building of blocks of life to Earth. It may have sent a rock here to kill everything with a new matrix to replace what was here ahead of time. All the dinosaurs dying and the new life forms came in, that could have been engineered.
It could have
been. You could say it was God. You could say it was God. You could say it was alien, but whatever you want to call it, it probably was not panspermia.
I've got it, man. The whole
panspermia came before that.
We bribed some Indian space company to fly a huge statue of Jesus Christ to Mars and place it right there. So when they find it, they're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, literally.
Mars. And we'll rewrite history just like that, man.
Michael, where do you come up with these ideas?
He's got a whole playbook there.
I like the hoax. I like a good hoax, man.
He's like the mean coach on Waterboy. He's got that little green playbook.
Honest to God, he come up with some good ones there, dude. You do.
A little hoaxing is fun.
What the hell is that?
Oh,
Star
nothing.
Trek.
But what Joe was saying, I was going to say that there, in science fiction realms, there are devices that you can blow up on a planet and change the life from whatever's there to whatever you want.
Terraform. You can terraform it.
Kind of, but it's more like terra bombing.
But with the
If you have a civilization that's got
from Mars, Joe.
Let's say you have a
Yeah, say that
civilization
again, babe.
that's got 1 million years of
I
history.
couldn't hear you. Big Mouth
They're
was
going to have
talking.
technology. They're going to have technology. You're going to have all kinds of technology.
What I was asking you is,
beyond,
dinosaurs
well
test
beyond our
subjects?
technology.
Michael,
Sorry.
hush up so I can hear what Laura Lee's saying.
No, sorry, I have a delay. Sorry about that. I was just saying, were the dinosaurs maybe test subjects sent from Mars first to here?
No, they were probably legit. I mean, they were probably legit. All of that was legit. The mad
You got to
was
look
probably
at the
legit.
CIA report. It's very explicit when they had those psychic mediums remote viewing Mars and all the information they found out.
Remote viewers can bite my
said they
weenie.
sent a ship to a planet that was close by. It was volcanic. It was messed up, but it had vegetation. It had water. It had things that Mars didn't have or was lacking at that time. And they went and terraformed that planet. I mean, and that was that. They were waiting to hear back from the ship. They're waiting to hear back, man. So read the report. I didn't make it up. It's the CIA.
Well, not just that. I've heard stories of people who have been experiencers, abductees, contactees, if you will, that say they have been taken to other planets that are similar to what Earth was in their dinosaur age, seeing creatures that were similar, perhaps differently shaped, but of a similar large reptilian variety. And then other abduction contactee stories where they've been shown like a video or a moving picture of what they've been told mentally from the aliens that it is Earth and it's the dinosaurs of Earth, and they show them these videos. So if that's true, then it's a common evolution throughout the galaxy. So it seems any planet that's either, whether it's panspermic, whatever, however life begins on these planets, there's a dinosaur age. It just means that it's
I'm skeptical is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't think everything starts with a dinosaur age. It's just too complicated.
That's
that means that would mean reptilians. No, it's easy to prove because we're here. So if that was true, reptilians would start out where reptilian would be the dominant species in the universe, and apparently they're not. So they would be dominant if everything went through that phase. A lot of times that phase would be the one because we know there's reptilians out there. That would be the phase that's stuck.
Well, but that doesn't mean that the reptilian.
The only reason it didn't stick here is because it got wiped out. See, that's what I'm saying. The only reason it's not here is because it got wiped out. Today, it would be some advanced dinosaur living here, not us, because they would have made sure we didn't evolve. It's we'd have never made it with the raptors and everything else. We'd have been dinners, as politely as I can say it, as we'd have been dinner. So that's the point. I mean, if it starts out with that phase, then they're going to be the dominant creatures in the universe, not us, and that'll suck for us if that's true.
Yeah.
And,
but you're talking about carbon-based individuals, and that's really limited to this Earth because you don't know what's out there. And
no. Carbon, no, Mike. That's not how it works. All the building blocks of life came from our solar system or from this galaxy.
I just said
it's going to be similarities.
ACG&T. That's the fountain of life on our planet. We can't test it at theories of others because we don't have anything to test it against. But we're talking about all living creatures. If we found living creatures, even bacteria in other places, we can test that and we can see what strands of DNA that thing has. You know what I mean? But
the Martian stuff they found had the same stuff as ours. So,
but you can't discount that there could be beings of light out there. There could be beings based in anything, man, anything, not just a carbon base.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
We don't think that. We know that there's light and there's energy beings. We probably ourselves will one day become energy beings.
Me, you,
Because the
and
majority
all
of us is energy.
are
I
connected
think
to
Mike
those
was alluding
dinosaurs.
to other physical forms, not advanced forms like the
But
light
we're
beings.
all
Beings,
connected to
but
those
beings that
dinosaurs.
are based on either like copper or silicon or some other.
We're all connected to those dinosaurs. We all have the same building blocks. We were just assembled differently.
Or carbon based.
You know, we're assembled differently,
Yeah.
programmed differently. You know what I mean? It's the ladder of the DNA, and then you have to think. You know, whatever program that's what decides really how long you're going to live and what color eyes you're going to have and.
No, that's not how that works either. First off, your color your eyes are a mutation. They're not even. Your eyes should be brown.
Your chromosomes decide that. It's in your
No,
DNA.
that's not. No,
And
it's your blood type actually decides that.
As that DNA is programmed.
Right, 45,000 years ago, there was no colored eyes on Earth, dude. None, not at all. There wasn't even any colored hair on Earth 45,000 years ago. All there was brown skin, brown eyed, and brown haired. So what the hell changed?
You can call it
well, I'll tell you one
no,
thing,
because that's a fact. That's science fact we're talking about right now.
Yeah, one thing that changed
It's not a continuation. A continuation would have been brown hair, brown eyes, and brown skin.
Are you saying there's living creatures out there that don't have any DNA? I want you to say that right now.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about DNA, and I'm talking about DNA, how it goes on and on.
Yeah,
and
and DNA. No, DNA is not big. But what you're talking about, DNA, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Of course, I know.
DNA doesn't work that way. I'm just telling you so you know. DNA doesn't work that way. DNA does create mutations from time to time. It really does, but for the most part, no. It's consistent in the way it plots things, or everything on this planet would be all weird and screwy. Look, it is.
The DNA is
people are not different. People are exactly the same. People are only different on the outside, my friend.
It all comes from the same source, and that's every living creature on the planet, including mosquitoes. It all comes from the same source. It's just how they're assembled.
Yeah, we're all star stuff, dude. Have you just figured that out? We're all star stuff. All of us. Everything. Even your damn chair is star stuff.
But you can't prove the carbon base exists elsewhere.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Because the galaxy is carbon based. Our galaxy is a carbon-based galaxy, so therefore life in this galaxy.
Chemicals that we have.
Yes. So the planets we're looking at are carbon-based planets, like our own. So the life, that's true, most of them. But most of the planets we're looking at, the life we're going to find is going to be carbon-based because that is the structure of the planet. That's the structure of the base. That's where they came from. Everything on that planet is related to that star.
If you can see it and understand it and wrap your head around it, sure. But I'm saying there's things you can't see and things that you don't.
I'm sure there's going to be things we're not going to understand. There's things we can't understand here.
A lot bigger out there. You have physics, levels and levels of physics that we don't even understand.
You're making the universe more complicated than it has to be.
In those levels of physics.
But and one thing, Joe, in answer to your question about why did we have brown hair and brown eyes? Well, most of the creatures millions of years ago were nocturnal. You're not going to see very well if your eyes don't collect, light at night. That's why you have darker colors.
It doesn't even matter after that. Even when we know they were roaming the fields of the United States, hunting elephants down when they weren't living at night, they were living at day. They still were brown-eyed, brown-skinned, and brown hair. Right.
But we're all
none of that changed. The only thing that changes
most of our activities. Most of our activities were at night, and as we started to
they weren't at night. They hunted during the daytime.
Yeah, that's one activity that they had no choice to do. But most of the other activities, like cooking and eating, and all, was at night because
I bet you they cooked a lot in the daytime. I think they were just like Native Americans. I don't think they were any
predators are nocturnal. If you're asleep at night, you're going to get eaten. So that's why I believe. But also as that's
what guards are for.
Stay in the sun more. That's when eye color changes. I do believe that's when the mutations start.
That's not true though. But that's not how it works.
About 50,000
has nothing to do with your eye color.
Don't forget the Rh negative factor too.
That's right. The only thing that caused your eye color to change is when we got Rh negative in our blood. Before that, it was never going to change it. That's right.
Negative.
Between 25
years ago.
25.
All scientists agree it didn't come from the Earth, and it was not a mutation.
All they agree on is that they don't know where the hell it came from. That's all.
Not a mutation. And they don't know where it came from.
Well, they think it is a mutation. A lot of scientists think it is a mutation.
Of this Earth, as far as they know.
Well, most of them think it's not from Earth, but then a lot of them do think it's a mutation.
50,000 years ago, some horny alien came down and got together with some rhesus whatevers and had a
But
party.
that's what tripped your eye color was the mutation of the Rh negative. Once it mutated in the blood, it allowed for other things to happen. Your hair color to change, your eye color to change. People always say, well, why weren't there blonde headed people before? Why? Because it was people that lived in the north and kept their hair covered and stayed inside. Why weren't there any fair white skinned or blondes? Because they weren't. It wasn't what they were. That's not what they were bred to be. That's not where they came from.
And
Their
the
DNA was brown haired, brown skinned, brown eyed. Probably because they were off the plains of
Where does
Africa.
red hair come from? Especially
That was a mutation. That's you notice that. Did you ever notice that most redheaded people have green eyes?
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do. And that's also both of those are mutations. Both of them.
Hey, is Michelle
But
on the show
they're
now?
also oh yeah, we gotta go. It's a minute past her showtime. It's Denise, we always can skate up, but we like to switch over. She's doing her intros right now. So she's coming in as we're going out.
Yeah.
DNA is a good thing to argue about, people. Learn all you can about it. There's so much we don't know about our DNA. It's not even funny. We don't know about our junk
There's so much
DNA,
we
which
don't
isn't
know about our
really
own
junk
planet,
DNA.
let alone our DNA.
You know? So, I always tell you, there's 4,000 pieces of junk DNA. Well, recently we found that it's not junk. It does something. We just don't have any clue
You
what
know
it
what
actually
it is,
does. Or what it can do. Some of this stuff is just laying there dormant. It may have been used in the past. It may be used in the future. We're just too ignorant to figure it out at the moment, but there's a lot to learn. And the Rh negative thing is and it's something I stumbled across 25, 30 years ago. It's a very interesting thing. We brought it into the public light because people had no idea that, if you're Rh negative, you don't share a gene with the rhesus monkey like Rh positive people do. Why is that? If we're related, then we should share that rhesus gene, and we don't. If you're Rh negative, you do not share. I know they call it Rh because of the rhesus monkey, but if you're Rh negative, you do not share a gene with the rhesus monkey. But the Rh positive people do. And why the hell is that? Because there is something different between the two species. There are two separate species on this planet now. And one seems to be moving away from the other one quickly. They're more telepathic, they're brighter, smarter, faster, and definitely better looking. I'm just messing with
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Sleep sweet tight, have good dreams, and
Thank you for inviting me.
And
I
keep
had fun.
looking up.
y'all think dirty about Sean tonight, y'all.
Keep looking up.
Oh,
Keep
God.
right.
Keep looking up. Look, but really, true. I know a lot of y'all play with y'all's ancestry and stuff like that. By the way, if y'all had any of y'all had that the numbered one, get your DNA out of there. They were sold to a hospital, pharmaceutical chain.
23 and me.
23 and me.
Yeah, 23andMe were sold to a pharmaceutical chain. So delete your account, get your DNA out of there, because now the pharmaceuticals come. And they said what they were going to do with it, so get it out of there. On that note, we're going to get out. We're going to go. We'll probably be doing Ancient Worlds for a while. If you got a good guest, send it to me or send it to Jay or anybody that comes on the show. Well, I haven't really. Oh, I'm glad you said that. The movie Capel Green is coming out. That's the Rendlesham Forest version from Larry Warren's point of view. This freaking movie's been like 7 years. I don't know if I'm in it or not. I originally was in it. I did the voice stress analysis, but stuff gets cut, so you never know. But pretty soon they're going to introduce it. Tell everybody this month when it's coming out, when it's going to make its debut, and we'll be sure to have Larry and a few others on the show to talk about it and see how it does. And well, I did the voice stress analysis, and the number one polygraph in the UK did the polygraph on it. So for this movie, before this movie could be made, we voice stressed him and polygraphed him to make sure he was telling the truth about what was being said. How many movies in the UFO field were made like that? Yeah, that's what I said. Good night, everybody, and stay tuned for the Outer Realm with the wonderful and lovely Michelle DeRoche. Be sure to go check her out. Tell her everybody said hi. Tell her Lori Lee said she's a bad girl, but tell her everybody else said hi.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.